Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everybody to our new class on character building through the Quran for our children. And today our class is very special because it is about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also, the coming classes will be more about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I want you to pay some more attention. My first note here is, what is the one quality that we can say is the key to the character of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Again, what is the one quality that we can say is the key to the character of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? The Quran teaches us that it was mercy. It was ar-Rahmah. So that is the key to the character of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the memory ayah that we'll discuss deals with this quality. So in order to start, let me start with a testimony that Anas ibn Malik made about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anas ibn Malik at a young age was serving the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and helping the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with his personal stuff. So he had this testimony about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said, "ما رأيت أحدا كان أرحم بالعيال من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم." He said, "I have never seen anyone who is more compassionate and more merciful towards children and his family members more than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam." So today I'd like to share with you some stories that shows the mercy of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But this is really a very vast and big topic, so I'll talk to some examples about the mercy of the Prophet ﷺ with children. And I'd like to start with my favorite one. This great scholar, his name is An-Nasa'i, he reported this hadith, and he recorded this incident that happened with the Prophet ﷺ. Someone is called Shaddad ibn al-Had. He said, one day the Prophet ﷺ came to us, and he was leading either the Maghrib or Isha prayer, and he was carrying one of his grandchildren, either Al-Hasan or Al-Husayn. So the Prophet ﷺ wanted to pray, so he put, let's say Al-Hasan, he put him down, and then he said Allahu Akbar, and he started his prayer. But during this prayer, he made his sujood very long, longer than usual. So someone behind him, Shaddad, said, "My dad started to worry about the Prophet ﷺ. Why is this prostration and this sujood is taking too long? That's not how the Prophet ﷺ usually would do his sujood." So he said, "I rose up my head to see the Prophet ﷺ and see what's going on." He was afraid that something wrong happened. So he said, when I rose up my head and I looked at the Prophet ﷺ doing sujood, I found out that the child is riding on his back, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So after the Prophet ﷺ finished his salah, he said, he was asked, "Why did you make that sujood very long? We thought there is something happening." And the Prophet ﷺ said, "There is nothing happened. And he said, "There was nothing wrong. It's only that my grandson was sitting on my back, and I did not want to disturb him till he's satisfied." So the Prophet ﷺ maintained his sujood and he was waiting for that child to move on in his own, and the Prophet ﷺ did not want to disturb him. See how his heart was full of mercy and love and compassion for that child. He did not want to disturb the child while playing. Another example, one day the Prophet ﷺ was about to lead the prayer, so he had the intention to make this prayer long. He wanted to enjoy prayer and prayer time with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As he started his prayer, he heard a child crying at the back. So he felt sorry for the child, and he felt sorry for his mom. So the Prophet ﷺ decided to make his prayer shorter than what he intended to do, so that the lady would take care of the child. We see so many examples like these, and I'd like to give you also some other examples. Did you know that the Prophet ﷺ also used to carry some children while he's praying? His love for children did not stop him from carrying them even when he was praying, when the children needed that. Imam Muslim he recorded this incident that the Prophet ﷺ was, Abu Qatada said, I saw the Prophet ﷺ leading people, and he was carrying Umama bint Abi al-As. This is the daughter from Zainab, the daughter of the Prophet ﷺ. And he was carrying Umama, and when he wanted to make ruku', he would put her down, and when he's done with sujood, he would carry her back again. This is again part of the mercy the Prophet ﷺ used to show children. Did you know that the Prophet ﷺ used to express his love for children? He used to tell them, I love you. He said that even to some of the adults of the Sahaba. He said to Mu'adh ibn Jabal one day, Wallahi inni la uhibbuk. By Allah, I do love you very dearly. And he said to Mu'adh, and do not miss saying this prayer after you finish your salah. Say, Allahumma a'inni ala dhikrik. Say, oh Allah, help me to remember you. Wa dhikrik, a'inni ala dhikrik, wa shukrik, and to thank you. Wa husni ibadatik, and to worship you well. But the point is, before the Prophet ﷺ commanded him to do something, he established that relationship that is based on love first. And before he said, do this, he said, by Allah, I do love you dearly. And again, it's not just uhibbuk, it's more like, Wallahi inni la uhibbuk. The Prophet is making an oath and emphasizing the sentence to show his sincere love for Mu'adh ibn Jabal. And this is very important in dealing with our kids. The Prophet ﷺ, we said that Anas ibn Malik used to accompany the Prophet ﷺ a lot. So he said, whenever the Prophet would pass by children playing, the Prophet ﷺ would say, Assalamu alaikum, and would greet them to make them feel more confident. And some of the Sahaba said, when we were young, when we were young, we remember the Prophet ﷺ tapping our head and making du'as for us. These kind of physical expressions of love was something that the Sahaba and his companions never forgot. The Prophet ﷺ also used to express his love for children by hugging them and kissing them. One day he kissed Al-Hasan or Al-Hussein, and then a man said, oh, you guys kiss your children? You kiss your grandchildren? I have 10 children and I never kissed any one of them. You know what the Prophet ﷺ said? The Prophet ﷺ said, what would I do if Allah took mercy out of your heart? He said, what would I do if Allah took mercy out of your heart? And in another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, Man la yarham la yurham. The one who does not show mercy will not be shown mercy. The Prophet ﷺ used to respect those children. You may think that the Prophet ﷺ was too busy to pay attention to little kids, but he was not. He paid so much attention to them, and this what would make the Sahaba real companions and real great people. Do you know how the Prophet ﷺ used to treat his daughter Fatima? Sayyida Aisha said, his wife said, I have never seen anyone who talks or walks like the Prophet ﷺ more than Fatima. And she said, whenever Fatima enters the room, the Prophet ﷺ قام إليها, would stand up to receive her, فأخذ بيدها, and he would hold her hand, وقبلها, and he would kiss her, وأجلسها في مجلسه, and he would make her sit with him or next to him. And she said, and same thing also Fatima, his daughter, would do when the Prophet ﷺ would enter the house. She كان إذا دخل عليها, when the Prophet ﷺ enters, she would قامت إليه, she would stand up to receive him, فأخذت بيده, and she would hold his hand, فقبلته, and she would kiss his hand, وأجلسته في مجلسها, and she would make him sit with her. This is the kind of respect the Prophet ﷺ used to show his daughter, like he's treating her as a princess, literally. Also, the Prophet ﷺ, it's not only his grandchildren and his children, but it was for everybody. And he used to show love and respect for all. One day, this incident also teaches us that the Prophet ﷺ used to ask those children for permission sometimes if they deserve it. So one day the Prophet ﷺ was brought something to drink, and he had a child, one child. Some scholars say it was Abdullah ibn Abbas. He had one child on his right side, and some of the ashyakh, some old people. Ashyakh means 50 years and up. So he had a child on the right, and some of the elders and seniors of the Sahaba on the left. And after the Prophet ﷺ finished drinking, he would like to hand this water container to the people around him to drink. But we know that it is sunnah to start with the people on the right. So what did the Prophet ﷺ do? Would he start with the child or with the seniors of the Sahaba? Would he follow his way and not break it, or just disregard this because this is a little child, he does not understand what's going on, let me serve those seniors first? But did you know that the Prophet ﷺ asked the child first? He said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do you give me permission to give water to those seniors first? What was this man's reaction? What did the child say? What do you expect the child would do? The child said, no, Ya Rasulullah, I want to start first. But he was not disrespectful. He said, لا أُوثِرُ بِنَصِيبِ مِنْكَ أَحَدًا. He's like, I do not want anyone to have the honor of drinking after you other than me. He said, I want to have that honor. So the Prophet ﷺ respected that wise statement and that decision and gave it to him first. So he asked that child for permission, and that would make those Sahaba very confident in their life. Also, the Prophet ﷺ during his lifetime noticed that some people are neglecting girls and do not take good care of them. So the Prophet ﷺ said, if you have a girl or more than one girl, and you do good to them, they will be a shield and a protection for you from the hellfire. Meaning Allah will save you on the Day of Judgment because of your good treatment of the girls. And the Prophet put emphasis on the girls because at that time they used to ignore them and disregard them and sometimes disrespect them. So at that time and in this environment and at that age and time and place, the Prophet ﷺ said, no, my faith is to do the opposite. Never disregard those little girls, but actually if you take good care of them and you treat them nicely, they could be actually your investment in the afterlife, and Allah would save you because of your good treatment of them. And whenever the Prophet ﷺ notices someone taking good care of those little girls, the Prophet would appreciate it and announce it for everybody and let everybody know that this person will be most likely saved by Allah on the Day of Judgment because of their good treatment of their little girls. And actually this happened. Sayyida Aisha, one day, she was amazed by something that happened to her. And she wanted to share this good news with the Prophet ﷺ. She said, a poor lady came to me, and she was carrying two little girls, and she was asking for food, and I had only 3 dates, and I gave her the 3 dates. So she gave each girl 1 date, and then she took one for herself. She was telling the Prophet about this incident. And then she said, as she was about to eat the date, the two girls wanted one more. And then because of her mercy and compassion, she split that one date into two halves and gave each child one more half. And then they ate it. And then she said, I was amazed by this because she already gave each one date, and she wanted this because she was hungry, but she sacrificed for them. She said, I was amazed by this, and I told the Prophet ﷺ about this, and then the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah would save her on the Day of Judgment because of this kind act. So even little kids at the time of the Prophet ﷺ used to love to be around the Prophet ﷺ. Did you know that whenever the Prophet ﷺ is coming from a travel, those little kids would go and receive him? This was actually reported in a hadith. كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا قدم من سفر تلقاه الصبيان من أهل المدينة. Whenever the Prophet ﷺ is coming back from a travel, those Sibyan and those kids and children of Medina would go out to receive the Prophet ﷺ and welcome him back. So I hope I demonstrated these examples about the mercy of the Prophet ﷺ with children. There are too many other examples, but this is one key to the character of the Prophet ﷺ. And I wanted to finish with my favorite part, which is the memory ayah. So the memory ayah for today is very short and brief ayah that talks about mercy of the Prophet ﷺ. And this ayah says that I want you to memorize to get to know the Prophet ﷺ more closely. The Prophet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran said about the Prophet, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. I want you to memorize this because, again, this is a key to understanding the heart of the Prophet ﷺ. It says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We sent you only as mercy for mankind. So let me write it down. We sent you only as mercy for all mankind. That's why in the beginning I told you, if we would think of one quality that would be the key to the heart of the Prophet and the character of the Prophet, it is this idea of mercy. Without this, the Prophet ﷺ would not be able to do the great things he did. So we sent you only as mercy for all mankind. Where did the Prophet ﷺ get this mercy from? Let me repeat this ayah again, and we'll answer this question and close our class for today. Again, it's وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We sent you only as mercy for all mankind. So this ayah helps you get the right picture about the Prophet ﷺ. Where did the Prophet ﷺ get that much mercy from? From his life in general, from his personal life, and most of all from his relationship with Allah. Let me explain that. Did you know that the Prophet ﷺ, his dad passed away before he was born ﷺ, and his mom passed away when he was around 6 years old? That made the Prophet ﷺ feel for others and feel the pains of others, because he was without a father and without a mother, and was an orphan at a young age. And this made him soft-hearted and this filled his heart with compassion towards people, and he would feel for others very closely and very easily. Also, the Prophet ﷺ for many years worked as a shepherd to take care of the flocks of sheep, and this requires patience and compassion and responsibility, and to take good care of things that you're responsible for, and this taught him mercy and patience. And he even said most of the prophets did this kind of job before they lead people. So, and the last thing and most important thing is that the Prophet ﷺ was very intimately and closely connected with Allah. And the one quality that would also define Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mercy. Is mercy. So the Prophet ﷺ, because of that connection, received one of the blessings of that connection is that the Prophet ﷺ became also merciful towards others. That's why the more you become closer to Allah, the more you become compassionate towards others. Let me repeat that again. The more you become closer to Allah, the more compassionate you will be towards people. If you think you're close to Allah, but you have no compassion for others, that your relationship with Allah is not that real. Because if it is real, then your heart would be filled with mercy that would be easily touched by people and noticed by others. So again, let me repeat this ayah and we'll close inshallah. The ayah for today is وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, and this helps you develop more love for the Prophet ﷺ. Thank you very much. وَجَزَاكُمُ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.